Safari. Loved all? Then hit the links. And for those with a taste for freshness, don't miss our farmers market. Want more ideas? Go to explorealexandriapineville.com. 2 cities, 1 epic summer.
You too could have a beautiful smile in as little as 12 weeks. Exclusive to Today's Dental in Pineville, Virtual Align Clear Aligners. The fastest, most convenient, affordable way to straighten your teeth for people on the go. Plus, they're invisible. No one will know you're doing it. Experience the Virtual Align difference. Call Today's Dental at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Goche. 448-4540.
Talk back. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Thanks for holding. You're on Talk Back.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Hey, have y'all discussed yet today that New York City elected a Muslim socialist yesterday?
Have not yet, but that certainly has been one of the top national stories today.
Yeah, he won the primary.
Well, in New York, when you're a Democrat, you win the primary, you pretty well have the election. But, he has such unique ideas, like a government-run grocery store.
Yeah.
Why hadn't anybody thought of that before?
I know. Here's some of the other ideas
better.
He's had through the years. Abolish the police, abolish prisons, abolish medical bills, abolish private health insurance, ban all guns, legalize sex work, end cash bail, decriminalize drug possession, end sentencing enhancements, and end all cooperation with ICE.
Well, ideas cluster. And you don't find people with half of those and then half conservative ideas. They cluster because of what they germinate from.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think New York City is fixing to find out the error of those ideas. That which hasn't worked in the past cannot work in the future. Dr. Larry Arnn from Hillsdale College says that which does not work does not work.
Mm.
And that's a profound wisdom. It's a little quip, but it's a profound wisdom. And you have to have, ignorance has to abound to make that kind of bad decision for people like that to be elected. And it's how do people not know about the Soviet Union?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well, they said that he carried a lot of support among younger people in New York.
I was about to say, I think we can talk about his policy all day, but this speaks to what Democrats might be having to reckon with. That's the wing of the party that would be the more populist wing, and I feel like a lot of them think that's their ticket to winning because millennials are more likely to side with some of the progressive social issues, whether you agree with it or not. And if a Democrat socialist is winning the primaries in New York, that's a big deal. It could kind of be a litmus test.
There's some mixed signals though. Young people are more easily duped. That's always been known. When I first got to college, like the first week, this girl runs up to me and says, "Are you pro-choice or anti-choice?" I said, "What are you are you pro-choice or anti-choice?" And she said, "Do you think women should have control over their own body?" I said, "Well, of course." She said, "Okay." She put my name down. She said, "Sign here." I signed my name. Well, I guess I was officially pro-choice. Then my wife, by the grace of God, she's at another college. She gets an assignment to do a speech against abortion. The lady went down the class. The teacher went down the row and said, "You do one for, you do one against," on different topics. She calls me from her dorm room crying and saying, "They're killing baby." I said, "What?" And, I run over to Natchitoches and she shows me these pictures. And ever since then, we were pro-life. Until they know, the left's ideas always seem good to the uninformed. Now, I don't know if you heard about it, but, they put up, they tried to file a impeachment on Trump in the House, and over 100 Democrats voted against it. See, that's the exact opposite of what happened in New York City.
Right.
Now, I don't know the makeup of all those Democrats. I'm sure they're all names we've never heard before. But I'm hoping it's their party, the reasonable people in their party trying to take their party back from the radicals like this guy that just won the primary in New York City.
I think Democrats may be starting to realize that the constant impeach talk and the constant Trump is a dictator talk isn't serving them well. And so they might want to back away from that.
Yeah.
And they're trying to regain some patrioticness if they can.
Right, because they've lost it all.
Yep.
Who thought John Fetterman would be the sole voice of wisdom. I mean, 2 years ago at this time, the guy couldn't complete a sentence. And now, I mean, everything he says I like.
Hey, look at what state he's in. He's trying to play it smart. He's being a politician.
Right. Yeah, Pennsylvania. But anyways, I think it's some crazy things going on, and just hope God has mercy on us. Y'all have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Appreciate it.
I mean, that was a pretty big deal. I mean, Democratic Socialists won the mayor's race in New York.
I should note that New York is one of those areas that's gone to that ranked choice voting, where sometimes the person that wins really isn't the person that wins, if that makes sense.
I think they said he'll still prevail after they get those tallied, but we'll see.
Yeah. So and I need to read up on this a little bit more. So is the current mayor Adams not running again? Eric Adams?
I think he was independent, wasn't he?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, and I know Cuomo was talking about, who was also running the Democratic primary, talking about running as an independent.
You're right. Yeah. It says the primary winner goes on to face incumbent Adams, Democrat, who decided to run as an independent amid a public uproar over his indictment on corruption charges. So,
like our caller just said, I mean, is it Mondami? He'll probably be the winner. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
But you never know. But that is the progressive wing of the party, like those Justice Democrats that you may not know what that is, but that's something that a lot of younger progressives are trying to push for.
Because it sounds good.
And there's some things like, we could take some things from each party and maybe find some good. Like, have we ever tried, I don't know, like cashless bail? Has that ever worked before? Like different things like that. But all the things that he's saying, they're not all going to go through. So don't worry about that.
The government owning the grocery stores? My goodness, what a frightful thought that is.
That's like means of production. That's almost like communism.
Yes, it is. Absolutely it is.
But I'm just saying, like the sentiment, we have to take a break.
Yeah, we got some time.
Okay, like the sentiment from a lot of, older millennials, not just young people, they love family values like a lot of their grandparents do. They just interpret it differently. Like, we don't have to work for a capitalist CEO who's taking all our money. That's the sentiment going on right now. And that's something that Republicans, MAGA, is going to have to fight against, because it's going to be a large part of the voting bloc eventually.
For sure. All right, let's go back to the phones. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning, Al. Good morning, Stephen. Jimmy Sawtell here. Greetings from the epicenter of Skills USA National Conference in downtown Atlanta, Georgia.
All right. This morning. How are you?
Good. Our 5-member delegation has joined 18,000 of their closest friends for what is a great week. But, Al, if I may step back into something that you said about the College World Series, viewership, and digital. You and I have had this conversation before about how Major League Sports or NBA or any of the big sporting events can draw in more viewers. And I think they just need to open the gate. Let me explain what happened with our family. My father-in-law, Jim Melvin, who's from LaSalle Parish, he has a terminal case of baseball fever. But as y'all know, the games were all on ESPN. But ESPN Plus put out a deal that if you wanted to catch 3 months of content, including every game of the College World Series, it was going to cost you a grand total of $12.
Wow.
You cannot walk away from a concession stand at a sporting event and spend less than $12.
That's like one beer.
Yeah, right. So being able to, they didn't gatekeep the College World Series. And I think people came out to show their support that if there is a quality product at a very reasonable cost, then, who knows? Maybe he keeps ESPN Plus beyond the 3-month subscription for, again, $12. And they've got a recurring customer. Now, of course, that's the introductory cost, but maybe he realizes it's worth $10. And Al, you and I talked about our subscriptions to the MLB platform, which is extraordinarily good and has been for a very long time. But I think as media, I think they need to look at quantity. Volume, as they used to say on the David Letterman show, and just make it more accessible, because people will show up for it.
I agree. I think YouTube getting the Sunday ticket too was awesome. Makes everything much easier. I don't have to get a satellite dish. I don't have to do this annoying contract. It's fantastic.
Are they streaming the Skills USA competition?
They streamed the opening ceremony last night. They'll stream the award ceremony and closing on Friday night. But Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs fame was the keynote last night, and he rocked the house. It is Skills USA opening ceremony is like a rock concert. It's just an amazing event. I posted some content on Facebook. You can kind of get a glimpse of it, but really proud of all these young people out here. And Atlanta has just opened every door and rolled out every red carpet. It's a good time.
That's an awesome event, it sounds like. Thanks for calling in.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Enjoy the show as always. Talk to y'all soon.
Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
You can catch it on ESPN The Ocho.
The Ocho.
Remember that?
Yeah. Everything went on to the Ocho.
Yeah.
Quick break. We're back.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend only at the LaBoard Earls Entertainment Center. Browse over 40 hot tubs, cold therapy tubs, swim spas, and saunas from major brands and up to 50% off this weekend at the LaBoard Earls Entertainment Center. Visit hottubexpo.com or call 1-800-SPA-SALE.
Success is about momentum. For over 20 years, Kinetics has been moving businesses forward with cutting-edge IT, cybersecurity, and marketing solutions while keeping them secure, innovative, and competitive. We power progress with next-gen business technology and marketing solutions designed to keep your business ahead of the competition. Need seamless IT, a bold new brand, a strategy built for what's next? Don't get left behind. Move forward with Kinetics. Visit kbisp.com and take the next step today.
Did you know that 71% of all licensed real estate agents did not sell a single property in 2024? Hi, this is Trish Lala. When it's time to make the largest financial decision of your life, buying or selling a home, what's happening in the market really matters. The good news is you actually can still come out ahead if you place your trust in an agency with decades of experience handling all of those ups and downs. When experience matters, we're here for you. The Trish Lala Group.
It's Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL.
And we are back. By the way, it's Global Beatles Day today as we come back with the Beatles music there.
I like the Beatles. I'm not a huge fan. Not like Mark Klein.
Yeah. They're all right.
They're okay.
All right.
Maybe a little overrated. I don't know.
All right. Let's go back to the phones. They're all lit up. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Well, I think this election in New York City could be a blessing.
Okay.
Because one thing, we get rid of Cuomo. We don't need no more Cuomos.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I was thinking about it. The New Yorkers didn't really have great choices. If you got Cuomo running, I mean,
They were talking about him running for president.
I know.
And another thing, too, is that the socialists is going to show the country what the Democrats are about before the midterms and the national election.
Yeah, there's that, too. He's got
another thing.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I want to tell you about this before I go. I decided to get rid of my iPhone. Don't need it no more.
Got rid of your iPhone. Did you just go to a flip phone, or what'd you do?
I got the Ultra 2 watch. It does everything that phone will do.
That's
and the
right.
Ultra 3 is coming out this fall, and it's going to be incredible. So I got rid of the phone. I don't need that. No, I got rid of that debit card, too. I don't need it no more either.
You said you got a Galaxy?
No, I'm going to get the Ultra 3 watch this fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you
go. Watches
go.
are pretty cool. So you don't need to have an iPhone to work your watch? That's the case?
No, you don't need it. I'm on the cutting edge of societal evolution. I remember people when I cut my cable off, people thought I was crazy, but I was leading the way.
There you go. He's a trailblazer.
You're an early adopter, as I say.
Great
All right. He's an early adopter in the diffusion of innovations theory, and I tend to be a laggard.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to the New York City thing, I'm telling you how a lot of people on the left are thinking, and they're meandering to the middle. The word socialist, even though democratic socialists don't claim to be a socialist like you think they are, it's not a dirty word like it used to be. And that's something that, if you're on the right, might make you nervous a little bit.
Just tell me anywhere in the world where socialism has worked.
They would point to the Norways, the Swedens. They don't always point to, it's just different each time. It's a different flavor each time you look at it. It's not always the Venezuelas, the Soviet Union. This isn't me speaking.
Yeah,
I like to look at both sides.
Yeah. Barf. But, your point I think a lot of people have become disillusioned with corporate America. But
I think that's the huge
I don't
thing.
look at corporate America as pure capitalism. I think a lot of the deck has been stacked. And who a lot of those big corporations align themselves with politically.
They would say the same thing about some forms of socialism. It just ended up being a dictator.
In socialism, usually the people at the top benefit the most.
I think we see that now, too.
Yeah.
I think we see that no matter what.
I remember even Vince Scully one time referenced how the second richest person in Venezuela was the president's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, that's what socialism gets you, folks.
The situation in Venezuela is completely different than the situation in Sweden. It's just Sweden tried socialism, complete socialism in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work. So they still use free market principles while somewhat socializing different sectors of the economy. Interesting stuff.
All right, one last call. We only got about 30 seconds. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
So I just want to go back to the carbon capture, just so I understand the scenario. So the Bar Association gets its members elected. Then there's a pool of federal money, which those elected officials claim and pass laws so that they can use it. And then when that pipeline burst, which all pipelines burst or leak, and there's damage, then members of the Bar Association can sue and get more money. Is that right? Do I understand it correctly?
I think that's one way to look at it, for sure.
And I also think it's really cute that citizens believe that their elected officials really care about their opinions. Do you think Mike Johnson is going to change his vote if 10,000 people show up at Pineville High School? That's why he's not accepting questions from the audience.
We gotta go. KRRV 100.3 HD3 Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock.
Is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. President Trump is refuting a leaked early intelligence assessment from the Pentagon suggesting U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend only set Tehran's program back by a few months.
I believe they didn't have a chance to get anything out because we acted fast. If it would have taken 2 weeks, maybe, but it's very hard to remove that kind of material.
He says the sites were obliterated. Both the president and Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke on the sidelines of the NATO summit in the Netherlands.
A conversion facility, which you can't do a nuclear weapon without a conversion facility. We can't even find where it is, where it used to be on the map.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the FBI is now investigating the source of the leak. President Trump is hailing the NATO summit as a big success after allied leaders agreed to a spending spree to pay for defense. Secretary General Mark Rutte.
With this plan, allies have agreed to invest 5% of GDP in defense. This is a significant commitment in response to significant threats to our security.
It's something Mr. Trump has been pushing for since his first administration. Beat the heat is the name of the game again, from Louisiana to North Carolina and on up through Maine.
Turning up the AC. Going into different stores to get more AC.
Today is the last day of a severe heat wave affecting the eastern half of the country. The expected high in New York City, 96. It'll be in the 70s by Friday. Numbers obtained by CBS News show migrant detention centers in the U.S. are at 140% over capacity. Half of the detainees have no criminal record, like the wife of one Marine veteran in Louisiana. CBS's Katie Weiss from Baton Rouge.
I come home from work and my best friend, my partner, isn't here.
Being a single dad was never in this Marine veteran's plans. But it's been his reality since May, when Adrian Cluot and his wife Paula went to an immigration check-in.
Which turned out to be 3 ICE agents there to arrest my wife.
What was going through your mind?
I was furious.
The married couple had just welcomed their second child.
20 people were injured when lightning struck a lake in South Carolina. CBS's Michael Wallace.
There wasn't a cloud in the sky above Lake Murray and Irmo, but there were storms nearby when a lightning bolt hit the water and energized a metal cable attached to buoys that cordon off the swimming area. The victims were either holding the cable or swimming near it.
All of them are expected to survive. Dow futures are down 4. S&P futures up 8. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Sean Burns. LSU may have won its 8th national championship just a few days ago, but head coach Jay Johnson and his staff are already hard at work putting together next year's roster to defend the title. Glenn West of 247 Sports says the Tigers are still loaded with enough talent to make another run. The centerpiece will be freshman pitcher Kason Evans.
I would probably bet good money that you could write Kason Evans' name in Sharpie on Friday night next year for the opener. I don't think there's any way that he doesn't start for LSU next year.
U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy says he prefers the House version of the big, beautiful bill over the Senate version because the Senate's looking at cutting Medicaid to the point that it threatens rural hospitals, and some people could lose their insurance. Cassidy says the House version freezes the Medicaid provider tax.
We should seek to slow the growth, but if you make too many changes too quickly in how healthcare is financed, it's difficult for our healthcare system to adjust. I've seen enough of the healthcare system to understand that.
LRN.
The clinics welcome Dr. Noah Miller, family medicine physician, to our team. Dr. Miller from Vadrine, Louisiana, is now accepting new patients. Call today to schedule your appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care with on-site lab and x-ray. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics, 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or look us up online at theclinics.us.
Good morning. A sunny and hot Wednesday with afternoon highs up to 94 degrees. A mini breeze to help us out. We will see what we got to the southeast at about 5 to 10. Tonight, clear skies. We get down to 72 for the overnight low. And tomorrow, warmer yet, 95 for the afternoon high. But a slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm in our forecast. In effect for the next several days. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 75 degrees in Cenla.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
You got to deal with this climate change issue. And I know that, there are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax. I think the last 10 years have been the warmest on record. And we can create millions of good-paying jobs transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency, to solar, to wind, and other sustainable energies.
I think the climate change issue is very complicated. And I think, did you see the Washington Post piece that they wrote where they did this long-term view? First of all, the reality is that the Earth's temperature has never been static, right? We could both agree on that. It's always been up and down. There's been ice ages and heat waves. And then the Washington Post looked at it. What was the time period that they looked at? That essentially they found that we're in a cooling period. That the Earth over the past X amount of years, and this was like a very inconvenient discovery, but they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that. Scientists have captured the Earth's climate change over the last 485 million years. Here's a surprising place we stand now. So look at the far end of that graph, and you see we're in a cooling period.
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't read that article, but the scientists who are out there, I think.
I know, but there's a lot of money involved in that too, Bernie. That's part of the problem. There's a lot of money involved in this whole climate change emergency issue, and there's a lot of control, and that's a big part of this problem.
All right, that was from the Joe Rogan show when Bernie Sanders was on the other day. And I don't think Bernie was ready for that one. Amazing that Bernie stakes much of his whole political career on climate change and yet didn't have time to read that article from the Washington Post. Welcome back, everyone. Al Quartermont, Stephen Maxwell, and Greg Walker is with us.
Good morning. Glad to be here with everyone.
Good to have you with us, too.
Morning.
That was kind of following up on our last call of the last hour. And unfortunately, we couldn't get all of the gentleman's comments. I did invite him to call back if he'd like to further explain what he was talking about. Sometimes we hit that, you get to that point where you're like, do I take one more call? Do I not take one more call? Because you want to try to get as many people on as you can, but then you run into a little bit of a log jam there.
Well, this is where Alexandria starts its conversation.
That's right.
What I want to know is, where does Alexandria end this conversation? Down in Taylor's office or what?
Wherever we drop a mic. That's the end of it. So, well, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. This heat is, this climate change is just a killer. I think George Carlin's routine on that pretty well sums it up,
I don't know if I saw that one.
Oh, yeah. He says, who the hell do we think we are? That we can control the Mother Nature. She's been doing just fine all these years. And said plastic, for all we know, Mother Nature made us so we could create plastic.
True.
But you look, it's like when we had the low water some years ago, they found all these writings that people had done on rocks that had been underwater. We've had this, it just goes in cycles.
Yeah, and that's the point Rogan was making. And then I thought the last point he made about the money being involved. Bingo.
Well, that's what this carbon capture is all about. I mean, the only people that are for it are the ones that are going to make money out of it.
Yep.
But it just seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Trees are taking the carbon CO2 out of the atmosphere. So we're going to cut them down to make biomass when we have all the oil and gas in the world underneath us. And then the byproduct of that is going to be carbon dioxide that we don't have the trees anymore to take out. So we've got to pump it underneath our feet. It just sounds ridiculous when you think about it.
Well, and I think and I made the point in the last half hour that I think the more people are becoming aware of this, the less they seem to like it.
Well, exactly. And the way they've crammed it down our throats.
Yeah. Or even kind of trying to sneak it in, really.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, and yes, we need the jobs here. We need economic development here. But at what future cost? I think that's the debate. That's the discussion right now. And I'm not taking a side on it. I'm just saying, again, the more it seems like people are hearing about it, the less that they're interested on it.
Well, why don't we drill?
Drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, those are jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, this biomass is a wonderful place. What do? Go over there and take a nap and don't do anything?
Of course, we're in a state now where, we're suing all these oil and gas companies now, years later. The big lawsuit that they just had with, what's the guy's name, Carmouche or whatever, that Ron Boone keeps talking about. I don't know. We've got the forum on it coming up Monday, and then there are some more that are being planned, the one down in Melders. So I think people are going to have a lot to say about this.
Well, first of all, why shouldn't the voters be able to decide?
Yes.
I mean, look, if a parish wants it, let them vote for it.
Yep.
And we'll fill them up with carbon dioxide to their heart's content. But for some reason, they don't want to go to the voters with this.
Yeah.
And, if you want to get a tax extension, it'll come up in some off weekend where some vested interest will all go out and vote for it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to us and our safety and what we want, it's crickets. I think they ought to vote and let people decide. I have a feeling it would be overwhelmingly beat.
Yeah, that Natural Resources Committee hearing back in whenever it was, early in the session, April maybe, was very revealing. very revealing, especially when you look at the votes and the legislation that was being proposed, like Chuck Owen's bill. All it was trying to do was give parishes a say, give the people a say, the local government to decide, do we want this or not? They wouldn't let it go through. They didn't even pass it out of committee.
Well, look at these bills to help us with our insurance rates. They ought to tax these lawyers and then have the tax go into a fund to reduce our insurance. Really?
Yeah. Well, I heard Alan Seabaugh was on Moon yesterday, and he said he doesn't think we're going to see any impact on the auto insurance for at least 2 years from these bills.
And then we will have forgotten.
Yeah. No. I'm like, okay.
You know, when every time they come up with something, they always come up with excuses why it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And we always don't, well, wait a minute. Let's look back for 10, 15, 20 years. Nothing that you've done so far has worked. What do we got to lose?
Well, then that'll be the argument. Oh, we tried tort reform before, and look, we passed these laws, and it didn't do... Yeah, because the laws that had the most teeth, didn't make it through. And then sneaking in that was it HB 148, the one that gives the insurance commissioner more ability to price control. Nobody wanted that except the governor and the trial lawyers, and somehow that got through.
And it was all summed up with the news that they flew the leaders on Gordon's jet over to some fancy hunting club in Texas to go over how they were going to save all of us taxpayers money.
Yeah.
I think that sums up what we're up against.
Meanwhile, our taxes have gone up, and the promised tax relief never happened.
Are people nuts? You don't get something for nothing.
Yeah.
And our government is broke. They're like a vicious dog that you have to keeps getting bigger, so you got to feed it more.
Yeah.
And it wants more.
Who was it? I was listening to Rick Scott yesterday on Clay and Buck, and he said the federal government budget just over the last 4 years, I think 5 years, has grown 50%. I mean, it's just, it's insane.
I don't know what we're getting out of it either.
I know. More debt.
Well, somebody once said, and it's all the voters, you know, they get fooled every day. They've got us all dumbed down to where we just want to sit back and be fat and happy.
Yeah.
But
make emotional decisions.
Yeah. You know, if you had a garbage service or any other service, a plumber or whatever, that gave you so little for but spending what we do, you'd fire them.
Yeah.
But these guys never get fired.
Nope.
Whatever happened to the old throw the bums out?
What is it like the problem is saying it's Congress's fault, but not my congressman?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
Right. No, that's it.
Yeah, the old saying, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
We've got the phones lit up. Greg Walker is here, 442-8255, BOM Bank Talk Line. Let's go to the phones. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
Well, you asked for it, so
I
I
did.
called back.
I invited him to call back because we only had about 20 seconds last time. So go ahead and make your point again.
First of all, I'm kind of offended that you insulted me.
I insulted you?
Yes, you called me a gentleman.
You don't resemble that remark?
Well, if you look at the etymology of it, gentleman, it's kind of an insulting phrase. So please, I would rather you call me, I don't know.
A firebrand?
A roughman.
So my point is that when you elect members of one professional association to make laws that are positive effect on the same professional association, so that professional association can sue each other and they both get rich, nothing's going to change. And as far as jobs from this carbon capture, just how many permanent jobs is it going to produce? None. I mean, it's going to produce pipeline workers to build the pipeline, but the majority of them are not going to come from Allen Parish. They're going to be outside crews brought in. They're not going to train people in Allen Parish to build pipelines. So the job situation is a canard. And second, on the George Carlin deal, it's a great routine. Basically, he says the planet will be fine. The people who are going to die. The planet will survive, but we'll be killed off by something, I don't know, like a virus. And he said this probably 15 years before COVID. So, anyway, the Bar Association in Louisiana and their political influence is the problem. It's not the voters.
Well, thank you. Glad you could call and further clarify that. I appreciate your call, and I'll never call you a gentleman again.
Can I have a question to a member of the Bar Association real quick?
You may. He's here. He's here for you.
So Greg, I know you're not a criminal lawyer any longer, or if you ever practiced, but you did pass the bar. So my question is, if you're married to a Marine, does that give you immunity for breaking civil law?
For breaking civil law?
Civil law.
Oh, civil law. Of course not.
What about if you're breastfeeding?
I don't know. It's been so long, I forgot how that works. My mother said she liked me as a friend.
What about if you have a child under 2? Does that give you immunity?
A child under 2?
Yeah, give you immunity?
Not that I know of. I missed that question on the bar.
Okay, so my point is, all these sad sob stories about ICE detaining an illegal immigrant by a Marine veteran with a child under 2 and breastfeeding that are all over the news. There it is. It's propaganda for the left for us to leave illegals alone. Right?
Hey, you're preaching to the choir. I'm with you all the way.
Okay. Well, just wanted to make sure because I am not a member of the bar, just like I'm not a gentleman. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for your call. Glad we could.
I went to the bar convention my first year as a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
That was 49 years ago.
Wow.
And I have not been back.
Wow.
So that tells you how I feel about.
Left a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the case he's referring to is actually from the New Orleans area. It was a Marine whose wife was in the country illegally, and they went to a meeting with ICE, and they arrested her. And so, of course, it's, she just had a baby, and her husband served the Marines, but he's making the point, she broke civil law.
Well, they're isolated cases.
Yes, of
that
course.
Those things happen, and they make a big deal out of them, but it takes your eye off the ball.
Yep.
All these illegals that have come in by the hundreds of thousands, and that's really what we're after.
Yeah.
Now, of course, people, when you throw a net out, everybody's going to get caught in it, but you have to look at the big picture.
Right. And it's amazing how no one seemed to be bothered, not just to say no one, but a lot of these officials and news outlets didn't seem to be bothered when Biden was illegally flying in people from countries around the world. Well, we can go on forever with that. We need to take a break. More calls coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
All of us have that one friend who can just light up the room with a smile. And sadly, how many of us are just a little bit envious of that friend? Well, here's the good news. The folks over at Today's Dental in Pineville can deliver that beautiful beaming smile. Over the years, hundreds of hopeful patients have visited and been completely satisfied. They've made getting dental implants an amazingly simple, low-anxiety procedure, one that's affordable for anyone's budget. The staff at Today's Dental go out of their way to make you feel comfortable with calming in-office IV sedation that's administered by a highly skilled, certified nurse anesthetist. And their multiple finance options make the entire procedure truly affordable. Isn't it your turn to light up that room? Give Today's Dental a call at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Gauthier. That's 448-4540.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
The Greenhouse presents a cat owner's thank you note. To my dear friend, my partner in crime, thank you for the way you warm my lap. Thank you for your purr and the way it says pet me. Thank you for that look. You know the one. But most of all, thank you for adopting me, for accepting me as I am, and for being part of my family. I will always love you. Signed, your human. The Greenhouse.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BON Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BON Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talk, baby.
All right, we're back with Greg Walker, Al Quartermont, Stephen Maxwell. Back to the phones, BON Bank Talk Line. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
Yeah, back to carbon capture. Royal Martin came out endorsing that. I was very disappointed. I don't think they did their due diligence studying this issue. And that guy, Brad LeBlanc, that geoscientist that gave the presentation at Philadelphia Bay, he scared me, like that. I've read a lot about it. He reinforced a lot what I read. He expanded on what I have read. And it's just too risky. Yeah, it's just too risky. That stuff is going to leak, no doubt about it. And it gets into our aquifer. What are we going to do for drinking water here in Grand Parish? That's where we get all our water, deep wells in the aquifer.
Mm-hmm.
You get CO2 leaks into the aquifer. You got carbonic acid. Our water is useless. I mean, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
I think if Brad LeBlanc would give that presentation to Royal Martin, I think they'd change their opinion in a hurry. It's just too risky.
Well, I appreciate your thoughts on that, and I think, again, that kind of is making the point that I said earlier. It seems like more people are finding out about this, talking about the general public, the less enthused they are about it.
I'd like to have the biofuel plant. I mean, I'm a small town. I'm a small tree farmer, and I invested a good bit of money back in the 80s thinking there was going to be a revenue stream for me in retirement, but it's not. It's like my trees are just basically worthless as it turns out. But I mean, they're capturing carbon, and it gives me a place to hunt. I mean, so it's not all
right.
Yeah. But I would love to have a revenue, a place to sell trees, but I'd rather let the trees just die of old age than start pumping CO2 in the ground and take a chance on ruining our water source.
All right. Well, thank you for the call.
The first discussion is about ethanol.
Yeah.
Do we need ethanol?
Right.
Nobody likes ethanol. It's not good for your car. It's not good for your hoses. It's not good for your
fuel pump. Four-wheelers.
Yeah. Because that's where the discussion ought to start.
Yeah.
Is what about this damn ethanol?
Yeah.
And what economic effect is going to have a few gallons of ethanol to dilute gasoline and other things?
Yeah.
As far as diesel is concerned, grease, they can make that out of grease.
Yeah.
So, the whole thing is just kind of a crazy, what's the final line? We come out worse with all of this, and we don't need it. Believe me, the little bit of ethanol that's produced around here is going to not offset all these factories in China and everywhere else.
That's the thing. China and India.
So, meanwhile, we got all this below us, and like the gentleman said, I read an article that they're going to mix this with liquids. And so what is going to keep it out of the aquifers that we have? It's just not a good deal. And you can start with, what do we need ethanol for? Yeah. We don't need it.
Right. All right, let's go to the phones again. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey there, Al.
Greg and Steve, boy, y'all got the conversation going here.
Who is this? Do I know you?
Yeah, Greg. Hey, Greg.
Hey.
When you get a chance, I'm pretty much disabled and I'm not doing too well. My health is failing me. I need you to come by. You say you do make home visits.
Not for everybody, but for you, Cornelius, I'll do it.
But anyway, Big Money Maurice from Montgomery, boy, he really loved you. Talked to my dad about you all the time. I wish Daddy had a chance to see about you. But I wanted to talk, are they still going to have that carbon capture meeting at Keys Park or somewhere else?
It's going to be at Pineville High School. Yeah.
Pineville High now. I wonder if Moon's coming down. Old Mike Johnson called him a nut. And Moon would love to come speak, so I'm sure Moon might put that on his agenda Monday.
I saw Moon holding court for Mother's Day. We took my daughter-in-law down to the Mexican place down there.
Oh, Superior Grill?
Yeah. And Moon had a big table, I guess, his family, and he's over there holding court. I guess they give him a free meal because they advertise on him. Yeah. So I didn't talk to him.
So does that meeting start at 5 o'clock at Pineville High?
I thought it was 6. I got to check. Just give me a minute. I think it is at 5:30, starts at 6. I can find it in a second.
There might be a few people that show up for that.
I think there might be a little bit of interest.
50,000.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Cornelius. Appreciate the call as always.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, Moon, about a week ago, was saying he wanted to debate Mike Johnson at a church on carbon capture.
I think he meant Mike Johnson, the congressman. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't think so.
Ah.
You might be right. I'm pretty sure he's talking about state rep.
Let's get Nicholas to print us up some T-shirts and we'll go over there and sell them to people when they come in. Like these vendors that show up for Trump and whatnot.
Hashtag not on my land.
We'll make a few bucks till they run us off.
There you go. That's a good idea. I like that.
We could sell our "What Would Jesus Do" and "What Would George Washington Do" bracelets. Exactly. I think they would have been big sellers.
I think so. I'm trying to get that time. I have it here somewhere. All these pictures I got on here. 1 second.
I understand. Yeah, I'm like the ultimate screenshot guy in my phone. Like if you look at my phone, if someone was like they were looking through my phone as an investigation, I'd be like, why does he have all these political information things and news stories? And that's why it's easier just to screenshot stories and then I can refer to it on my phone easily enough.
Oh, here it is. 5:30 to 8. Monday, June 30th at the Pineville High School Auditorium.
Starts at 5:30?
Starts at 5:30.
Wow.
And Mike was, he's one of the people involved with this meeting, but it's going to be the police jurors, different stakeholders, leaders. So I think everyone's just trying to learn.
We'll have those politicians cornered in there.
Yeah. All right. We'll take a break. More with Greg Walker coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The latest report from FedEx suggests that soft package demand and global trade uncertainty are not likely to ease anytime soon. FedEx beat earnings estimates in the latest quarter, but it forecast a worse than expected profit for the current period. It also said it would only be sharing its forecast for this quarter instead of providing a full year outlook as it normally does. An executive said that U.S.-China shipments deteriorated sharply in May. That's the most profitable trade route for FedEx. The company behind the Coco Melon and Blippi Kids show, creating a new series with the company that owns Hello Kitty. The program, which will debut next year, is part of a broader multi-year partnership between Moonbug Entertainment and Sanrio that will include consumer products, according to Moonbug. Futures have been fluctuating this morning. Investors are awaiting a second day of testimony from Fed Chair Jay Powell. Stocks rose yesterday on Wall Street, with gains ranging from just over 1% to 1.4%. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The cost of air travel is more than just the ticket price. It's also fuel, meals, lodging, parking, and time. Recalculating. The more we fly AEX, the better our chances of bringing back flights to Houston and Charlotte. AEX and help our community grow. Find your true cost at local.flyaex.org.
How did I let my gambling get this bad? The credit cards are maxed out, rent is overdue. I can't tell my family. What if I lose everything? I mean, there has to be a better way.
You're not alone. If you or someone you know are struggling with problem gambling, free and confidential help is a call or a click away. Call 877-770-STOP or visit helpforgambling.org. Take the first step toward a better tomorrow. You don't have to do it alone. A message from the Louisiana Department of Health, Office of Behavioral Health.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Well, good morning. A sunny and hot Wednesday with afternoon highs up to 94 degrees. A mini breeze to help us out. We will see what we out of the southeast at about 5 to 10. Tonight, clear skies. We get down to 72 for the overnight low. And tomorrow, a bit warmer yet, 95 for the afternoon high. But a slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm in our forecast. And back for the next several days. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 78 degrees in Cenla.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talk Back.
And we are back on Talk Back on this Wednesday. Al Quartermont, Stephen Maxwell, and the one and only Greg Walker's with us again here today. All right, we got the warm-up done. Now it's time for us to maybe get a little estate planning. Is that fair to say?
Oh, it's very fair to say.
Okay, that's why you're here.
That's what allows me to go to wrestling matches.
Yes.
Like, I bought a bunch of tickets this go round. I may have to beat the bushes a little hard to pay for them.
I can't wait. So that's coming up, July 29th or something like
26.
26.
26.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will mark it on my calendar.
Oh, it's going to be great.
So we're going to get to see midget wrestlers. Although is midget not politically correct anymore?
Well, they advertise it as midgets.
Oh, they do. Okay.
So
we're good.
It's okay. You know, I hate that people get offended by things, but you know, you're just brought up with certain.
Yeah.
It's like over at Fuzzy's, they had a guy named Shardy. He was a midget. They had all midgets over at Fuzzy's. You ever heard of Fuzzy's?
No. What was Fuzzy's?
Well, there was Fuzzy's and Lazarons. Those were the two drive-ins.
Oh, okay.
And Fuzzy's was over on Bolton Avenue. And I can remember, you know, parents would get all the kids in. There was no air conditioning. And I can just remember that you had to roll your window up. Of course, there was no automatic window.
Right, yeah.
And so
crank. Yeah.
Dad would have to roll it up just right so they could hook that thing on it. And but they had midgets over there, and Shardy was the one everybody liked. Of course, they were all Shardy.
He was like the attraction, or?
Oh, you know, they had great personalities, and you know, you could get a fuzzy basket, which was a burger and fries. I don't remember, but back in those days, you know, probably
and a milkshake.
Yeah, for little or nothing.
Yeah.
Fuzzy burger.
Like $1.49.
Yeah.
We gotta find out what happened to Shardy.
Shardy. I'll tell you, this is what you need to investigate. The Midget Grocery. There was a place out between Pollock, somewhere out in there, called the Midget Grocery. Okay. And I thought they were kidding me about it. But there was a group of midgets that lived right behind it. And when you went into it, was literally built for midgets. They had these little baskets and everything. was like for kids. And I tried to research it once, and all I could find was an obituary for a lady who once ran the midget grocery.
Really?
But there's got to be somebody. I think it's probably Grant Parish was where the midget grocery was located.
That's Pollock.
Yeah, it was a little west of Pollock, whatever that little. So they got these little communities in there.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
I remember my son and I went to Nantucket fishing. He was little, and he didn't believe me. And so he and I went over there, and, it was really something to see. I think it's one of those things in history that, will be lost.
Yeah.
But it was just some interesting thing. It's like the horror house that we used to have in Ellick, Ma Humble. You ever heard about her?
Whorehouse or horror house?
Horror, like Ladies of the Night.
Like the best little whorehouse in Texas?
Yeah,
okay.
But this was the best little whorehouse on Upper Third.
Okay. Wow.
It was, from what I understand, this is way before my time.
Well,
it was on the other side of Bayou Rapides.
Okay.
And Ma Humble, she was well known in Central Louisiana and contributed to charities and whatnot. And they say she ran a good operation over there.
The things we missed out on, Stephen.
Huh?
I said Stephen and I missed out on all
Michael Wynn, the historian, I just ordered a book from him off of Amazon, and I haven't had a chance to read it, but he goes into a lot of things like that are unknown facts.
Well, I know the man for whom the city is named, Alexander Fulton, right?
Yeah.
Was kind of a scoundrel.
Well, our politicians have followed suit. So wait a minute, how do we get off on these subjects?
I literally tried to set you up to do.
Who's in charge here?
I literally set you up to do estate planning, and somehow.
Well, it's one of those we's. We're gonna get to it.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to talk about
we have to take a break now.
Oh,
and we have
okay.
a caller coming in.
All right. Well, this is where Alexandria's talk starts, and so we'll stop for a commercial and then restart.
Yes, and when we come back, we'll take the call. So hang on.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Close your eyes and feel the sun-drenched breeze of southern Spain. From whitewashed villages to golden beaches, this is where history meets passion. Moorish palaces, flamenco night, and unforgettable tapas. This small group, escorted by Annie and Christine in March 2026, will visit Seville, Cordoba, Granada, Marbella, and more. Join our spectacular Spain tour, beaming with culturally rich and local experiences. FreedomTravelLLC.com, your international travel architect.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind.
As an adult, kids want to know you're listening to them, but they also want to listen to you. When it comes to alcohol, they want to know your expectations and how and why to avoid underage drinking. Talking early and often about it in everyday conversations reinforces your message and keeps lines of communication open. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'll be by your side.
In Sinlaw, keeping your lawn looking great can be a real challenge. And that's why folks have been choosing our locally owned and operated company, Promo Fencing and Lawn Care. Promo can also be your local choice for fence installation and new landscape installs. They're real pros about it too, offering free estimates and financing for those bigger jobs, residential or commercial. Bring your vision to life with Promo Fencing and Lawn Care. Call 318-452-6265.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. Now back to Talkback.
Okay, we're back with Greg Walker. Sorry, our call dropped off. You can call back again if you'd like to at 442-8255.
Probably one of Ma Humble's relatives. They're now in the massage business. Oh, my God. Happy ending.
Oh, man. KSYL at night.
I tried to tell you, Stephen, when Greg comes on, it gets lit, as the kids say.
Bet? Isn't that what they say? Bet.
Yeah. Bet.
Well, David, you've gone from the Q Zoo at the other end to the old people's rest.
I don't know what
home.
happened, man.
What happened to you?
Q. I don't know about here.
You know, all the way from where they had windows.
We're gonna have to send you a cease and desist.
Exactly.
Yeah, Greg sent me a cease and desist one time.
I remember that. Yeah.
You know, well, your nemesis is in the afternoons with happy hour now.
I know.
I tried to tune in, and she must have not have started yet or something.
I think she did. Just started.
She just started?
I think so.
Well, I'll have to try to tune in this afternoon.
Shy on Cable RV
From 4 to 6, right?
That's right.
4 to 6.
Yeah. Y'all need to be plugging that. And then she can plug, you know, where Alexandria begins its compensation.
That's right.
Down
That's
here in
right.
the old folks
That's what I'm
home.
telling you. It's like the nursing home over here.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I had a family that was sent to me from a nursing home. And first of all, they said, go see Greg Walker. He'll do a trust. Like these trusts. Oh, I've got a trust. Where do I put my bag? It's all going to be free. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And this is where the fault occurred. These people, when their dad died, they went to an attorney here in town. Very smart fellow. He doesn't like trust. He's resentful because he doesn't know anything about nursing homes. So the people go in and say, we want a succession for dad, and then mom and sister want to give all the property to brother.
Okay.
Now that's, you know, when old people walk in your office and that's what they want to do, so if you had any sense, you ought to think to yourself, okay, this is what the statistics show. Dad was taking care of mom. Mom's going to be going down now. Mom's going to probably need some kind of care, which she did.
Mm-hmm.
They sold off the property. It wasn't for a little bit to pay for sitters for mom. Now mom is destitute and has nothing.
Yeah.
She can't get the property back because the son sold it. And she has to go to a nursing home, and she's not going to get approved for benefits. The problem, in the way I see it, is back with the lawyer who, if you question him, is going to say, well, they just came in here and I did what they asked me. They asked me to do a succession and to transfer all the property into son's name. You know, it just bothers me that was the wrong thing to do. But when the lawyer from the legal air quotes, I didn't know those were called air quotes.
Air quotes, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's doing air quotes for those of you watching on
The
Facebook.
lawyer, who is no longer counselors at law, because that's what we used to be. We would counsel people.
Right.
Not anymore. People come in, and we have a dollar sign on them, and we say, oh, you want to pay me to do a succession and to transfer the property, then that's what I'll do. I'm not going to think. Statistics show that once the husband dies, you know.
Yeah.
So here's this poor lady, and she doesn't have any choice. She's going to go back home and live a horrible life.
Wow.
Because kids don't have the wherewithal. Even a lot of them, you know, I'll take care of mom and dad. Let me tell you, that's a 24-hour job. That's why these nursing homes are set up with 24-hour people.
Right. Right.
But I go back to, and then how do you address that? That's the problem in the profession, because lawyers are not interested in old people and nursing homes. They're interested in, and I love this guy, the guy that got the $8 million with Brian Kubero. Have you seen him?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, he gets up there, and the first lawyers they had said his case was only worth $10,000, and the jury came back with $8 million. And I'm looking at this gentleman, and I'm thinking to myself, hell, he's in better shape than I'm in. Maybe I could get $8 million. I've actually been driving around in the Kroger parking lot waiting for somebody to back up and run into me. And then I'm going to call Mr. Bryan and do it right. But getting back, that's the trouble with people don't think in terms of helping someone.
Right.
And we're going to end up with an old lady that has, she goes to a lawyer. In her mind, I don't have much. Why am I not going to get my nursing home paid for?
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't have much.
Mm-hmm.
And people continually tell me that. Well, I don't have much. Look, if you got more than $2,000, you don't qualify. And when you do qualify, you only get to keep $38 a month, and you can't pay for your home expenses.
Right.
So you got to sell your home, and then you got to spend that money down. Now, if the kids all chip in to pay for the insurance and upkeep for the home while mom's in the nursing home thinking they're going to, do a flip, house flip,
Mm-hmm.
they all think we're going to redo it and then flip it and make a fortune on this. No, you're not, because the state gets your house. They get whatever you own when you die. So people just have an unrealistic impression of how their golden years are going to end.
In that case, what should they have done? What should that family have done?
What they should have done is taken everything and put it in a trust and not liquidate it. I tell people all the time, don't get rid of anything. It's all you got, and you don't know what you're going to need. And once you give it to the kids, it's gone.
Yeah.
You've lost control over it. You can't liquidate it. It's theirs. They couldn't wait to get their hands on it. So you need to keep everything you've got. A lot of people in Avoyles are bad about this. They wait to the last minute because they don't want to give their farm to their kids, and they shouldn't. But then they give it to the kids, and the lawyer will give them a usufruct on it. This way you can keep getting the rent and whatnot. The lawyer didn't know that Medicaid values the usufruct, so they didn't really get rid of anything. And I tell lawyers all the time, you've got to become educated on old people, because this is what we're dealing with in our society.
Yeah.
And these rules defy common sense.
I mean, I hear other agencies advertising that they do what you do, but nobody has the experience doing this like you do. I mean, you could almost probably do seminars that's just teaching lawyers how to do this stuff.
By the way, I have a seminar coming up next Tuesday at 10. Give my office a call, 318-445-4516, and we'll reserve a spot and get a cookie for you. But I've told lawyers, come listen, you'll learn something.
Yeah.
Because this just isn't let me get you in a room and lock the door, and if you hire me, I'll let you out. Because that's what a lot of these lawyers do.
Right.
We actually go over from A to Z how wills work, how successions work, the difference between powers of attorney. You read one of these things off the internet and you say, oh, this sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
My agent can do any and everything as though I did it myself. Well, I'll tell you what, that's not good enough.
Nope.
So if you are interested in going to that seminar that you're holding, what do they need to bring? What documents? Do they need to bring anything, or?
Stephen, they don't. We provide information, handouts. We give them a sheet to take notes, and we give them an ink pen.
Okay.
Really, some time ago, I made up my mind. I was tired of people telling me we wish we had known. And so I'll do everything I can to make sure that people will know. And, we all make mistakes, but really the lawyers, and I see this all too often, when you're dealing with elderly people, you've got to think in terms of what's their health look like and where are they going to be 4 to 5 years from now.
Yeah. Let's take a call before we take our last break. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
This is
one
of the things that you're talking about, and people just don't know.
Right.
He is so, what he tells is just wonderful. Thank you for having him on the air. I wish he could do a show for a couple hours and people would listen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you for calling.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate that. So, a happy customer.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't keep everybody happy, but I'll tell you, I've got a wonderful staff. They love what they're doing. They care about people. And, you know, we'll go the extra mile for folks. And this thought that very few people think the glass is half full. Most people think it's half empty and they don't come do anything. And that's the easiest thing to do, put off. Look, we all do that. It's easier to put it off till tomorrow.
Yep.
But you get it done and you feel better.
That's right.
I went around and straightened up my house last night. I felt better. I'd been putting it off. So the people need to come to the seminar. That's really the first step. You've been putting it off. Now you don't have an excuse. You're not going to get charged by the hour to get some information. I don't blame people for not wanting to go to a lawyer's office, especially if they're going to get charged by the hour to get some information. So we're offering this over at the library, and it really is an opportunity to learn some good stuff. A lot of things that people had the wrong idea about, we set it straight about how things work. I've had people tell me, well, my financial man said you can have a house and get nursing home benefits. Why should I have a trust? I said, because what they didn't tell you is they're going to get your house after you die. So there's just so much out there, and people mean well, but I'm looking for this person named somebody.
Somebody told me. Yeah.
Somebody needs to go back to law school and take a refresher course, because most of what they tell people is wrong.
All right, we need to take our last break, and then we're back.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics, with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend at the LeBourne Earls Entertainment Center. Browse over 40 hot tubs and swim spas at up to 50% off. Financing is available and show admission is free. That's this weekend at the LeBourne Earls Entertainment Center. Visit hottubexpo.com.
Craving mouth-watering barbecue and juicy steaks? Head on over to Cole's Barbecue and Steakhouse, the top barbecue and steakhouse in Alexandria. Our warm and welcoming atmosphere is the perfect setting for a night out with friends or a family dinner. Indulge in our premium barbecue and steaks, fresh salads, and handcrafted burgers. Come as you are, we're ready to serve you. Visit Cole's Barbecue and Steakhouse today on Coliseum Boulevard across from the Rapides Parish Coliseum. Expect real good food.
A message from Israel Air Conditioning and Heating.
Yeah, my mama, she told me to pick up and call Israel Air.
She told me Israel Air.
She said they'll come running with comfort beyond compare.
At a very fair price.
Because you know we're all about your comfort, no troubles. Call 442-6657. That's 442-6657. We're all about your comfort,
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back with Greg Walker here on Talkback. Just a couple of minutes left in this show. We got a call coming in again. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
Good morning, Al.
Good morning.
How y'all doing this morning?
Well, good morning. Good morning to you.
Pleasure to speak with y'all. Mr. Walker, I'm going to kind of ask you an open-ended question here. Besides seeing you, what would you suggest for someone is the most important thing to do when speaking with a gentleman like you and trying to take care of some business? What would be the very first thing you would suggest to him to do?
Well, I would write down what really concerns you the most. Don't worry about whether it sounds makes sense or not, but that way when you go in, communication is very tough. It's one of the hardest things to do, and what you tell the attorney may not be what the attorney hears. So it's very important I actually send a questionnaire out to folks to ask some pertinent questions. Do we have a blended family? What type of assets do you own? Do you own a lot of land? That sort of thing. And that way, and that's with any professional, that way they can zero in on various subjects to discuss with you. So that would be my recommendation, is just start writing down things that concern you, and then present the attorney with those.
Okay, I know you have the seminars out at the library and everything, but I believe I would prefer rather to come in and talk with you, and because none of us is the same,
I agree with you, and we cover a lot of stuff, and a lot of it may not apply to you, but what it does is it gives you an opportunity to hear about subjects that you may not have thought about before, to help you zero in on whatnot. So I'm happy to meet with folks. I just ask that you fill out the questionnaire, because that really helps me know where to
try to go by your office today and pick up some papers, and because I tell you, I'm one of these people that I'm out here by myself, and I really don't have nobody, and I'm starting to get up in age a little bit, and I'm starting to wonder about things.
Well, stop by and pick up the questionnaire, and we'll schedule an appointment and come in, and we'll discuss things.
Great.
Thanks for calling.
Sounds great. Thank y'all. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. All right, there's the music already. So again, the seminar is coming up Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, July the 1st.
Wow.
At 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Do you have a 6 o'clock one too? Or
No,
10?
6. We couldn't get the library for 6.
Okay.
So we're just going to be that morning.
Right.
One show only. Direct from the studios of KSYL.
That's right. So, and again, people can call your office to schedule.
318-445-4516.
Excellent. Greg, it's always fun. We'll see you in 2 weeks, hopefully.
Look forward to it.
All right, sounds good.
ya.
All right, everyone. Hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Nathan and Steven.
Talk back. The opinions expressed were those